The Badge to the Bone podcast contains adult language, mature themes, psychological nudity. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed here are ours and ours alone. Buckle up.
All right, welcome to Badge of the Bone podcast. We have a special edition show for you tonight. Al, what do you think?
I'm looking forward to it. Let's get on with this thing.
Absolutely. All right, Al, so we got a little bit of a special edition episode here.
Yeah. So we had a little background. We had an invitation from an old friend of mine, Dr. Jack Trammell, and I had gotten his title wrong at one point, but he is the
I remember. That was good.
He is the chair of the humanities department at Mount St. Mary's University in Maryland.
Yep.
And as part of that, he oversees the criminal justice program there. And Jack has never been a cop. Will be the first person to tell you he doesn't know a lot about cop stuff or first responder stuff. But Jack is also one of the smartest people that I know. And he has a very curious mind. And he tends to be just a great guy, very supportive, and again, just brilliant.
Yeah.
And in talking to him, I'd gone up to assist with another project in the fall, separate from our podcast. And conversation of, hey, coming up, talking about what we do, so forth. And so we got an invite. And you and I went up there.
We did.
Just the other day.
Yeah.
And we were asked to speak to undergraduate criminal justice and then ultimately some of the human services majors.
We did, yeah.
I'll tell you, coming back from that, I thought that was because one of the first things I texted my wife was, this was a really positive day.
It was. It was. It was nice talking with the students there. It was one. I'm just shocked that someone wants us to come speak to their college students. We had to make sure you've listened to us and you know who's coming, right?
Yeah, and to their credit, they let us be us.
They did.
But at one point, you and I were walking around the campus, and I think we both commented to each other, it's like, this is a college, and the kids are really nice.
I will have to say that the kids there, the students there, were overwhelmingly nice. I mean, and it wasn't just the ones that knew we were coming. I mean, it was just as we're walking into buildings and passing people.
They were holding the door. Hello, sir. Good day, sir.
Yep. Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. I mean, it was very polite. It was just a very nice campus. And I was very impressed with every interaction on there.
It was great. And we had 4 of his students actually take us to lunch.
Right.
And they were all super smart, super on the ball. They had career plans laid out.
Some great questions.
I mean, just, because we get cynical, particularly about that age group.
No.
And, it was one of those times that you walk in and your cynicism is literally beaten down.
Yeah. That's accurate. They were very impressive.
Yeah. And we also had really great interactions with his faculty. There was a couple professors we dealt with while we were up there. One, has no law enforcement background.
Right.
But is very curious, and he alone had a ton of questions.
He did. He had a lot, and he had a lot of really good questions.
Yes.
I liked it because it was thought-provoking questions.
Right. And then you had Joe, who was retired ATF SAC, I believe.
Yeah.
having started out in Detroit PD.
Yep.
Older gentleman,
Mhm.
just a wealth of knowledge and experience.
Yes.
And here he is now being a professor.
Well, I felt pretty humbled to be there, just in the company of some really outstanding faculty,
Hmm.
and then in the company of some really outgoing students.
Yeah, I really I didn't have a single negative thing to say.
No, neither did I. I mean, I'm just hoping that we met their expectation, because they're pretty sharp. So,
And they brought us.
right. So, I mean, I'm hoping we met their expectation. But it was a really great visit, and we have that all recorded. We recorded there. We brought some equipment with us, and
Right. So Jack set up a session
yep,
in his office that included a handful of students,
yep,
a couple of the faculty,
yeah.
including himself, and we ended up recording in there for a good little bit.
Yeah, we
Um,
did, and because it was recent, I think they're getting ready to graduate, so I kind of wanted to get this one released
hmm
before they go, so they know, in case they want to listen. So
Yeah,
again, several of the students are going to be on the recording asking questions. So
and they were kind of asking questions of us, which
yes,
normally we're on the other side of that.
right, right. Well, and that's why we're doing this as a special edition. A special edition episode that we're going to release not on our normal time frame.
Right, right. A little bit out of order, but we wanted to get it out there.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, we are going to cue up that recording. Hope you like it. And here it goes.
All right.
Al,
Denny,
where the heck are we?
we're not in Virginia anymore.
No.
No, we are up in Maryland today at Mount St. Mary's University.
Yeah, we've had a good time today.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really did too.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. We hadn't said anything about it on the show as yet.
No, we really didn't discuss that.
But good friend of mine, Dr. Jack Trammell, is dean up here. Part of his deanship, I'm probably saying that wrong. Is
Deanship.
is
The deanship.
is overseeing the criminal justice program here.
Right, okay.
So we were afforded the opportunity to come up here and speak to a couple of the criminal justice classes about what we do, which is talk about how messed up we are.
Yeah, kind of pretty, for the most part, yeah. But I mean, I think it went well.
Yeah. No, we were talking before we came on about what a positive experience it's been today, that the students, the faculty, I'm not used to everybody like smiling and being nice to me.
Well, yeah, that was great. I mean, everybody's been super nice, polite, well-spoken, engaging. But you're
Yeah.
right, everybody's smiling.
Everybody's used to us complaining about stuff all the time.
right.
And today has not been that day.
No. It was really good. It was great taking some of the questions in some of the classrooms.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And we talked about just the overall landscape of mental health
Yes.
in law enforcement.
That's right.
First responder community, but also just kind of what we are doing to push back, what we are doing as a show.
Yeah.
And it's been fun.
Yeah, I think it was good to give that information to young adults that are maybe eyeballing this field, considering the field.
I'm hoping we didn't scare them away from the field.
I'm thinking
Earlier.
I'm thinking you might have scared some. Yeah.
Actually, the highlight of my day was our
Lunch?
tour. No, our tour guide who referred to, a 5-foot young lady who referred to you as the same size.
I got you. And
And you both played a saxophone.
what's wrong with the saxophone? It's a great instrument. Everybody likes the saxophone.
That was some.
What's wrong with you?
That was some funny shit.
That was funny.
The same size.
I wasn't expecting
as I make
that.
air quotes that no one can see.
And as soon as she said that, I looked at you and I was like, shit. Now I'm going to have to hear about this all the way home to Virginia.
That was awesome. I enjoyed that. But we are doing something we've never done before. So this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
So we are sitting in Dr. Trammell's office at the school, and we have students and faculty.
Oh, yeah.
With
right
us
here. Yep.
in the room, sitting here, and we're going to have kind of like this is going to be like some Oprah stuff right here. We are going to.
We're not giving away any cars, though.
No,
there's no keys under your seat. Nobody's getting
There's
a car.
no prizes. But we're going to talk about what we do on the show.
Yeah.
And what their thoughts are, what their opinions are, and give them an opportunity to ask a couple old farts like us who have done the job.
Yeah.
Whatever it is they want to ask. And before we went on the air, we're like, hey, everything's on the table.
It is.
So this, we're going to see how this goes. But this is going to be a total free-for-all. But we do what we do all the time, which is wing it. So
we are king of wing. I think you said that earlier. We're the kings
of winging it. So, yeah. So I got a room full of people. And we got a vacant microphone.
We do. So who's going to be the first that has anything they want to ask, address, a question about? Anybody?
Because I think almost everybody in here sat through our presentations earlier.
I think some,
maybe a couple that did not.
So, and if you didn't, our podcast is really built on bringing awareness and a platform for wellness, mental wellness, and resiliency within the first responder community, and particularly the law enforcement community. That's our background. We have a lot of experience in law enforcement. So that's kind of what we focus on. It had its own impact on us individually, and we've seen how it impacted not only us, but folks that worked around us.
Yes.
So we kind of kicked off the podcast to give a platform for other people in that realm to either talk about their experience or tell their stories or their story of resiliency, or we've had mental health professionals come on and talk about the things that they do for law enforcement, things that they encourage if you're in the field. I think for here, the stuff we talked about were things that we never heard about when we started.
No, nobody talked about that stuff.
I mean, it was all procedures, policies, report writing, the laws.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Walk it off, kid. Walk it off.
Yeah. You see bad things, you're going to see bad things. If it bothers you, suck it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not how it should be. That's not how it can be. And we have our first taker.
Have our first taker.
So, a lot of your formal presentation in class.
Well, this is, hold on. We're not a visual medium. So we got Professor Dooley here with the Criminal Justice Program sitting down.
So I teach Intro to Criminal Justice. I don't have any personal firsthand experience with law enforcement outside of being pulled over on occasion on our nation's freeways and what have you. So a lot of my students do have interests in doing law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And I think you did a tremendous service today in terms of outlining some of the drawbacks of the lifestyle. I'm wondering if you could give us some indication here in terms of the upside, what draws you to that, what sustained your career. There had to be something that was deeply gratifying and fulfilling. You talked about it almost as a vocation.
Sure.
Because this becomes sort of all-encompassing, and you warned against isolating oneself in that kind of atmosphere to keep a lifeline on sanity by maintaining relationships outside of the profession, having a hobby, maintaining some element of faith as a bulwark against sort of becoming too morose because you are encountering nothing but crime scenes and people on their worst day. So could you give us a little indication here in terms of what are the things that kind of ballast your continued engagement, because there has to be something that's sustaining of interest that provides a deeper sense of fulfillment, and maybe that is something that people could look to in order to maintain a sense of sanity.
Sure.
You want to go first?
Sure. So yeah, and I think it would have been maybe nice if we could have worked some of that in and give some of the other aspects. I know we hit on a lot of the challenge you're going to face coming into this type of profession, but it is rewarding. And I think I mentioned in one of the classrooms talking about, the idea that you're going to come out and save the world. And I don't like to use that because, really, realistically, you're not going to come out and save the world. But you are going to save lives. You are going to make differences in lives. And I always, it was actually, I got that from my father, that he said, focus on the little differences you're going to make each day. You're not necessarily going out and saving the world from total destruction like Superman, but each day you're going out and you are saving the day for somebody. And if you can take those things with you, then you get a sense of accomplishment, whether it was you helped a stranded motorist, whether it was you helped somebody that was lost, was injured, or you caught somebody that stole jewelry from somebody's residence, you caught the burglar, you caught an armed robber that had been robbing banks, and so you're making victories. Those were rewarding for me. I think, having the satisfaction of knowing I just put in jail someone who committed a murder, an armed robbery, an assault, and somebody hurts a child, those things, you feel a sense of accomplishment with that. The other is just, for me, it was just the fact of that, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I guess the fact that I'm there. That at that moment, I may not be there, but I'm there and I'm ready. So if someone calls and has an emergency, I'm ready to go. And there was I want to say, a sense of pride or satisfaction knowing that I am dressed up, ready to go. We talked about working holidays, and holidays is always is a bummer. You got to work the holidays and stuff. But I tried to view it on two ends. When you work Christmas, yeah, you want to be home. You'd rather be home at Christmas. But by me working, I'm ensuring that other people are going to get to enjoy their Christmas, or their Christmas is going to be safe. The other fact is with the camaraderie, by me being at work, one of my comrades gets to be home. And there'll be another day where one of them will work and I'll get to be home. So, but for me, it was just that total satisfaction of doing a job that not a lot of people will do, and doing a job that does make a difference. It just makes small differences that add up over time. The camaraderie is another thing. Yeah. Definitely enjoyed the camaraderie, but it is something you got to be mindful of, that it doesn't encompass you, that you don't get encompassed by that. It's everything that I am is a policeman or police officer, whatever agency you may be with, that it's a great camaraderie, it's a great support group, but it's not total encompassing of who you are. Mm-hmm. You have other things. You have other friends outside. You have other hobbies outside. You have a balance to that.
Yeah, some of the difficulty, I'm recalling a story of a family friend of ours, a longtime police officer back home, talking about something that seemed a little mundane at the time. He gets the opportunity to have the squad car for his personal use. Yep. And so people thought, oh, that's great. He doesn't have to care for he doesn't have to deal with it, cope with the maintenance and all the rest of that. But he talked about just on a regular shopping trip to Walmart or what have you, he's got the squad car. Yep. And so if something pops off at Walmart, he can't just simply bail. Right. Because he can't be the guy who's seen to get in that squad car. That's right. Sort of checking out here as the place is descending into madness. Right. The kind of like the pressure to constantly be on the job was something that he remarked upon.
Yeah, I have to kind of echo much what Denny said. You're not saving the world, but I can look back on my career and I can say there were certain moments where I thought I got through to somebody. Excuse me. And I one jumps out in particular. I was out having a family dinner near my house, and my son was young enough that he was getting restless at the table. So I took him outside and we were just walking around as my wife was paying the check. And all of a sudden I hear this person address me by my title from behind, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm out here It was one of the rare instances I wasn't armed. And I turn around, and it's a guy I got multiple felony indictments on, probably 5-6 years prior. And the guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, I saw you, and I don't want to bother you, but I just wanted to tell you that I'm now he worked at the restaurant next door. He goes, I'm now on track to be, a chef. This is what I want to do. He goes, I've stayed clean. I've got my life back on track." And he goes, "You were a big catalyst. You gave me a chance." And he hugged me, and I let him hug me, and which is also unusual. And I was almost on the verge of tears.
Huh.
And somehow that was worth it. So it is the little victories, but it's also part of that. I was raised in a household where service was emphasized, and so the idea of service was important. I couldn't imagine, going and working, moving widgets from point A to point B at Dunder Mifflin, for the next 30 years. I wanted something that was bigger. I wanted to be part of that team. The camaraderie and the friendships that have come from the job have been amazing. And at the end of the day, I get to say, if to no one but myself, I got to see and do things that many people in this world will never get to see and do. Good and bad. But I'm a firm believer that most of what makes life worth living is experiences, relationships, and you have both of those in abundance pursuing this line of work.
So I want to hit, because I'd be remiss if we didn't bring it up, but we talked about kind of the greater good and the sense of satisfaction and sense of achievement and making a difference. But, and I'm gonna say it just because it is, but there's a lot of fun to be had in the job too.
There is.
I mean,
there is.
It is exciting. If you want excitement, it is exciting.
Anybody that tells you, because it's dangerous as hell.
It
but
is.
If anybody tells you that chasing a car at 100 miles an hour or greater
it's not fun,
is not exciting, it's not fun, they're lying. Is it dangerous?
Yeah.
Should we maybe not do it
as much?
Many times?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it all, but maybe, but it.
But it's exciting. I mean, you get those hot calls and you're kicking on the lights and sirens and you're trying to get somewhere, or someone's calling for other officers. There's an excitement. There's an adrenaline rush that gets up. And that can take its toll long term on you too. That's also part of the challenges, but it is exciting. So I don't want to completely romanticize that. That's not part of the draw to the job. Is the excitement, and I definitely was one that liked this. I like to work the busy areas. I like to work where I'm going to get lots of calls. I like to work areas where we're going to have robberies, we're going to have shootings, we're going to have people carrying guns. That's that was something that I really where I wanted to be. It is exciting. So I don't think we want to discount that. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's what people say. Oh, you're just an action junkie. No, and that's not it. It's no different than if you play a sport. You're going to get that adrenaline, that nervousness before a game or a big game. If you're playing football or baseball, that excitement to get up to the plate and you either hit a home run or you drive in a winning run for a game, that's an excitement. You play that game for that excitement.
But like Denny said, that can be a double-edged sword.
It is.
It could be the thing that you're always chasing that. You're like a junkie chasing a high, and that can be destructive at some point.
Hello.
Hi. Do you want to say your name for everybody?
My name's Rui. I am a emergency management major. I'm also an EMT since I was 18.
All right.
And I mentioned, and I'm in Dr. Trammell's class of death and dying, and you guys talked about it a little bit in my class and also on your podcast a little bit of how not a lot of people talk about the dark things like death, the trauma, mental health, stuff like that. And so I wanted to know, because since I am an EMT, I'm exposed to a lot of pathogens and invisible weapons and battery and stuff like that. And my mom and family is worried that I might contract something that will kill me, while you guys are always in the boot of things, of the physicalities and the verbal abuse and all that stuff nowadays. I want to know, how does that take a toll on you personally, and how does your family take a toll on that as well? Because do some of your family have the feel of you're not going to come home walking in, or another officer has to come in and say, hey, your husband is not coming home anymore, stuff like that?
It's a good question. I will try to speak for my family. I think, like, my father passed early in my career, but my mother's still around, and I think there was some worry, and I've been married for the entirety of my career, and it's funny that you mention it, because I hadn't really given it a lot of thought. I know my wife has worried about me over the years, but it was not something we talked about much at all. She never came to me saying, I'm really scared for you in this situation, or this working environment, or that working environment. I know that it existed. I think just in her case, for example, she was probably more concerned about my mental and physical well-being. Not the safety, like, oh my God, you're going to get shot, but more like, how are you holding up? Are you sleeping enough? Are you eating right? Are you, is your head screwed on right? Those issues, I think, concerned her much more than, oh my God, he's working downtown Richmond tonight and he's going to get shot. And now she did say a couple times, like, this was a question she would ask from time to time: who are you working with tonight? I'd say, I'm working with, my partner, Matt. Oh. Because she knew that, if the shit hit the fan, Matt was going to do absolutely everything to make sure that I came home, and vice versa. So she trusted the people, and if I was working with somebody she didn't trust, like, not because they were dishonest, but like, I'm not sure that person can take care of business, she would say so. I'd rather you work with so-and-so. Well, I don't always have that decision, but so I guess that's my perspective.
So on my side, now, I know we talked earlier and we had this statistic for divorce and policing. So I meet that statistic because I divorced my first marriage, and I'm remarried. So I kind of have that perspective from two spouses, both marriages. And I guess it was never really discussed with me that either it expressed real fear. I think they knew that the job can be dangerous. There is always risk, but I don't think it was anything that was looming over them all the time. I think it was something that they just really didn't think about a whole lot. So it wasn't really something we discussed a whole lot. That being said, you always run risk of injury and things like that as well. I was fortunate in my career that, I've been in fights, and I've been kicked, I've been punched and stuff, but I've never been seriously injured. I've never had to be out on leave due to an injury. I've come close, and one of the things I did is I've been in a couple motor vehicle crashes. I was T-boned. I T-boned another car that came through a red light right in front of me. So pretty good crash. Destroyed that car. The T-bone I got hit, too bad, but it got hit right on my driver's side, and I smacked the window and all that. And then I had one other where my car was sideswiped on the highway and tore the whole side of my car while I'm sitting in it in the middle of the night. So those things happen, and usually you're going to get checked out. For me, it's to get checked out by rescue and going back to work. But I always call home because lots of the media's going to put, police officer involved in a motor vehicle crash, or there's a police car involved in this crash. So I would call home. One of the things I would always do is the first thing I'd say, pick up, I'm okay. Just want to let you know.
Yeah. I did the same. I think we all do.
I was involved in an MVA, motor vehicle accident, and I'm okay, other than now I got to go find a piece of crap spare car because my car's tore to pieces. So, but it never was anything that really loomed over, I think, either spouse. I know it was in the back of their mind, but nothing that was really looming or I guess, causing a significant amount of stress.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other stuff you mentioned, like what you interact on the job, like you may be exposed to something that could, harm you, or you could bring home to family. That's something to obviously be aware of, and that's a risk.
Mm-hmm.
That's a stressor. That's one of the stressors we talk about, because you always have that in your mind that you have to be careful about how you're approaching somebody. You have to be careful that you are using all your your gloves, your all your equipment to keep yourself safe. But it is a stressor, so that's going to add to your stress. Is you're working so hard to keep yourself safe that you don't get hurt, but you also don't bring something home that's going to hurt somebody at home. So it is a stressor, and I think it's a stressor on the family. But there was other things that were stressors, but that wasn't the main focus of any stress.
You never forget it. I mean,
right.
That never leaves your mind. But at the same time, I would say anybody, and your experience in EMS, I mean, you don't think about your safety in that context.
No,
every
I don't.
day.
It's mostly like my parents, mostly
Right.
my mom being a mom, and she's like, I'm worried about you and stuff like that, but it's not something I think about. But like when someone brings it up, it makes me think of a little bit of like what happens if I do get sick, what are like the protocols. But I just wanted to see like what the difference was physically, and like because I fight off invisible invaders that you can't possibly see with a naked human eye, and you guys are constantly out on the streets doing what is necessary, no matter what risks there are.
It is stressful for a family, because the family's always going to have that in the back of them. They're going to see things on TV. They're going to see that an officer was involved in an incident, or they're going to see things in a neighboring jurisdiction break loose, and it's going to remind them that it is dangerous. I will say that even though I say that the stress to my spouse was never overbearing or really looming over, I do know there was a time where we got a real harsh reminder. I had a friend that I knew very well that was killed in the line of duty, was shot to death during a domestic. That brings it home real quick.
Yes,
and
it does.
brings it home for me, but it brings it home for the family too, that this is somebody that they knew, this is somebody that I knew that was a friend, and that does bring it home real quick. I believe it's important to talk about these things to your family. If your family has to talk about them, I understand your stress. These are the things that I do to keep myself safe. These are the things that I do to make sure that I don't contract anything or get anything that I'm going to bring home or is going to cause me an illness. And just talk to them. Have those. If you don't talk about it, then that could bump up the stress. But I think if you talk about it, that will help your family understand that you're doing all the things you can do to help keep yourself safe and protect yourself while you're on the job. As far as a mother, I will tell you, police officer was the last thing my mom wanted me to be. My father was a police officer. Of course, now he met the stereotype of two. He's divorced more than once. But he spent 43 years. So my mom encouraged everything but policing for as long as she could. And then finally it was... She was very proud when I graduated academy and very supportive, and always has been. But if she could have picked something else, there was 1,000 other jobs she could have picked before that one.
My mother wanted me to study theater.
Yeah,
No
my
lie.
mom wanted me to do
That makes
accounting.
so much sense.
My mom wanted me to do accounting. I was like, no, I'd rather hop out of a big truck bigger than me and go carry a stretcher and wheel it down to someone who's probably bigger than me and put them on that stretcher.
And why not?
And it's a calling. It
Yeah.
is a calling. You have a calling to do that. So sometimes it's hard to explain that to folks that don't have that calling in your family, because your family is going to be, why do you want to do that and put yourself out there for that? So it's sometimes hard to relay that. But I do think communication with your family helps.
Mm-hmm.
If that answers
Yeah.
your question.
And then my other question I had burning was, what was something that you learned mental health wise in the academy or in the field that you didn't learn in the academy?
The academy at our time, 25 years ago, nothing.
Yeah.
In the field, I'll speak for myself and say, I'm not sure it crossed my mind, and it should have, but I'm not sure that it really crossed my mind until about the 20-year mark. By that time, the engine's already got an awful lot of miles on it. So I would say that was probably too late to start having some of these discussions. And then when the discussions started happening, it became accelerated, which is not always fun. So no, and looking back on that now, and part of what I hope we accomplish here in talking to you guys that are on the cusp of potentially getting into this line of work is you're not at the 20-year mark starting to think about this stuff. You're starting to think about this stuff on day one, which will make you better at the 20-year mark.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Academy, mental wellness and taking care of yourself on that aspect was not really discussed. I mean, they talked about physical fitness and things like that, but mental wellness was not really a topic that was discussed. So by the time that really became a topic or became a concern, I'd already had a lot of time in, and I'd already picked up a lot of baggage and
bad habits,
bad coping mechanisms. It all impacted me. I would say on the job is where I started to learn that it does affect me as much as I wanted to say and think that, oh man, this doesn't bother me. I can see this thing. I can do this. I can manage all that. It did impact me. And I had to learn it kind of the hard way by recognizing some of the bad coping mechanisms. I also realized that there's a lot of things that you will bury, that you will see or experience that you will bury somewhere deep in your memory. Mm-hmm. And there will be triggers, whether it's a sound, whether it's a car, whether it's something, somebody says something, and it will bring that back up and you'll remember that. And, and I've had that with just watching TV sometimes. I'll see something on a movie or a show, and it triggers, I remember this. And sometimes it's upsetting and, sometimes it's not. But it is amazing how your mind will take something that you would think would be forever burned in your mind and hide it for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why mental wellness is important, because that's not a good thing. You got to unpack those things.
And it's important to remember, too, that, a lot of mental health challenges associated with the profession are not, oh, my God, I saw the one big, horrible thing that, now I'm a wreck over it. Most of the time, it doesn't work that way. It's a slow drip over time, over a long period of time.
Just accumulation of incidents. Mm-hmm. Now, for some people, there is a major incident. I mean,
True.
if you were one of the Las Vegas Metro guys that responded to that shooting, that's probably going to be a major incident.
9/11.
9/11. You responded to 9/11. If you responded to Sandy Hook, I met one of the troopers that was one of the first to arrive to Sandy Hook. That is a triggered event, and that impacted that trooper significantly. And that was one single event. But for a lot, it's not really that single event. It's just like it's just drip. It's at over 4, 5, 10, 15 years of constantly going to different things that you're piling. Like I talked about picking up your bag, and each incident is a rock you're putting in your bag. Eventually, that bag gets heavy. If you don't start taking those rocks out, it gets heavy. And that's what a lot experiences, that cumulative.
Yep. All right. Well, we got Dr. Trammell. Hello, Jack.
Hi, thank you guys for being here, and I also want to thank you for promoting me to dean.
I'm sorry, did I misspeak?
I think it was Dean Ship.
I'm actually
Your deanship?
I'm actually department chair, and I have a wonderful dean, Brian Zigmont, who is very supportive of what we do. So, but that's actually a joke about a serious question I have for you guys, which is a sociology question about authority and authority structures. And my question is, and I hope you guys can be brutally honest, how much do authority structures interfere with officers getting the mental health support they need? So, in other words, chain of command, does it help or hurt in people getting the resources they need?
I think that is entirely dependent on your organizational culture.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
That is meaning agency to agency. A chief or a sheriff, they're the agency head, and they set the not just the direction of an agency, like the day-to-day moving of the widgets, right? They set the culture and tone, the atmosphere in that headquarters building. And if they are very supportive, sincerely supportive, then I think things can go very well. If they are not, and when I say not, I mean either they give it lip service and don't really follow through, or they are overtly hostile to those kind of ideas, then it can go really bad. And unfortunately, we have seen both. I worry, and again, this is kind of my pet peeve. I do have significant worries about organizational leadership within the profession, that the profession has become so politicized that you have, for police chiefs, for example, have almost created an executive class within the profession that is way up in the stratosphere over the day-to-day. And at the risk of sounding terribly cynical, which I do all the time,
how's that any different than any other day?
You have a number of chiefs. I think this is particularly acute in major cities, major localities, that are more concerned about their next chief's gig, keeping the mayor happy, or their future book deal, or their future CNN commentary gig, than they are about the welfare and the day-to-day of their people. I don't like to say that, and there are plenty of examples of leaders that have done exactly the opposite and are outstanding. But we do have a lot of that, and that does drive some of the mental health challenges in the profession, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. The issue with chiefs not really taking it seriously and focusing on the wrong things. What happens there is they will have things in place. They'll say, oh, we have a peer support program. We have a psychologist that we've hired here that you can use, and it'll check a box, but they don't really devote the resource or the culture to accept it. They'll kind of check the box, put it out there, but nobody's using it because they haven't made it acceptable. They haven't made it that when you come in and you tell your supervisor, I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm not sleeping well. I'm stressed. We had these series of calls recently that have really impacted me. Okay, yeah, well, we're going to send you over to so-and-so. That have it accepting that, okay, we need to do something about this, as opposed to an agency it's like, oh, well, we're short-staffed, so you're just going to have to figure that out. But, hey, I'll see you out on the street. So unless they have accepted that culture where we are really going to work to make this better, we're going to put the welfare and the wellness of the personnel at the top, then it's just a check the box. It's just going through the notions, and you see a lot of that. You have also, you have a lot of agencies that are pretty progressive, that are doing well, that are really working and understanding and valuing their people, and instead of just treating them as a number or a boot on the ground, they're really trying to do the things to make them successful in their career and not have the stereotypical problems that you have with a career in law enforcement. But you also have agencies that ignore. There's still agencies that go, oh, this PTSD mess, this is all a bunch of made up junk. There's still leaders and agencies that go, oh, that's just junk. I actually went to a small conference out in Minnesota, small town in Minnesota, put on a conference talking about trauma and how it impacts first responders. And we had a couple two police officers were the only two there. Most were fire rescue, and we had some mental health professionals there. And the lady that put it on, she was so disappointed because she went and reached out to the sheriff's office. And look, I'm doing this conference. We're doing 2 days. We're having all these speakers come and talk about mental wellness and resilience and stuff like that. And the sheriff was like, oh, we got a PowerPoint for that. We're good. And she's like, look, it's free. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. We are footing the bill for everything, every speaker that we're paying to come out here. We are paying for it. We just want to show resources for your officers, and a lot of the folks that were speaking were with counseling resources and different things, but it was, this is for your guys, to help your guys. Nope. And she asked multiple times. Finally said, look, I'm not sending my guys. We've got a PowerPoint presentation that covers all that. We're good. We do it at in-service. Thanks, but no thanks. So I was shocked when I got there. I mean, why would you not, even if you're skeptical, send somebody. Send one or two guys to see. Go see what this conference is about. See what you think. But just not open to it at all. And there's unfortunately a lot of agencies that still have that mentality that we don't need it. We don't need that. That's all made up. We have a return.
Hopefully, I'm allowed
absolutely
more than one question.
Oh, absolutely.
So the mention of cynicism here sparked a recollection of reading some of Jerry Skolnick's. No, it wasn't him. No, it was another police scholar out of the University of California at Berkeley who wrote one of the definitive texts on this that talked about sort of the routine. And the routine at that time was largely about dispatch and response. And so officers would constantly be subjected to, as a result of the pattern of the work and how it was organized, the distribution of labor was organized, seeing nothing but pressing calls and people at their worst. And so I'm wondering if the shift over in the direction, it was Jerry Skolnick, the pronounced shift in the direction of community policing, which puts officers in things like walking a beat, where they see people in a different context, in a different light, and as a more routine part of their day-to-day activities. If that has had an ameliorative effect, a beneficial effect in terms of making officers less cynical because they're less likely to encounter, as just an embedded part of the job, people at their worst. One of you has worked in community policing, is that correct?
I have.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how to answer this.
You got it?
Yeah. Community policing is, it's a buzzword. And it's a good thing. I'm not knocking it, but have we always done a really good job of defining it? And I don't think we have. And so I guess I've never seen this differentiation between the kind of I think what you call responsive policing versus community policing, it was all one in the same. And
is this more of an issue that I don't know how departments typically handle this? There's a ton of cops grant money out there, right?
Yep.
And so all these departments are figuring out ways in which to insert the proper kind of terminology in their appeals for grants, right? Because it's about getting the money ultimately.
sure.
Yep.
Are these segments of departments and larger departments especially that people are assigned? There's a handful of officers here that's what they do. And it doesn't have much impact in terms of shifting the overall culture. And smaller departments are clearly not going to be able to go in on something that's much more expensive in terms of dispensing with police services.
And every agency, though, too, is going to take its own spin on what constitutes community policing. And they're going to make their own decisions as to what they do with something like a COPS grant. How they're going to apply that. Again, I did 26 years, and I came onto the job in the late 90s when community policing was the hot thing, right? I mean, that was, and it was get out of your car and interact with people. Okay, well, if you think about it, that's not a revolutionary idea. That's what I think good cops have been doing forever. And I've never thought of or seen them applied as different models. Now, I will say that particularly last 4 or 5 years, coming off 2020 with the just the crisis of recruitment and retention within law enforcement, and if you are down, if you're and this is not this is not unheard of. If you're a 300 person agency, and you got 100 vacancies, okay, is your call volume changing because you have 100 vacancies? So the vacancies really hamper community policing because now you're having to concentrate on covering your calls instead of community engagement. You don't have the downtime for community engagement. On top of that, certainly in the last, and again, this is me editorializing, but the last few years, the antagonism towards law enforcement, the negative feelings towards law enforcement. I can tell you, I know officers that are really talented and truly care, that work in localities where they go, you know what? I'm going to mark on for my shift. I'm going to find my spot, because every cop has their spot. And I'm going to watch Netflix in my car for 10 hours.
It's called sitting in the hole.
And when the call comes out to respond for the cat in the tree or the domestic or whatever it is, they're going to drive straight to that. They're going to handle it with the minimal amount of effort that they can. If they can avoid making an arrest, they will. And they will go back right to their hole and commence to watching Netflix again. Now, is that good? Does that help the community? Does it help the profession? Does it benefit anyone? No, it doesn't. And it is, in fact, the opposite of community policing. But in many ways, this is where we've kind of gotten to. Not everywhere, but many places.
So, community policing, it is kind of a buzzword. But when I think about community policing, I really think, for me, I hate to say the word model, but community policing should be the standard of your agency as a whole.
Agreed.
That's just my thought. That should be the standard of your agency as a whole. Community policing, to me, is not that you have a community policing unit. That's great if you have one, that they're going to address some specific complaints that maybe might get a delayed response because of how busy the agency is. That's great, but that shouldn't be your
check that. Here's our community policing badge. We have 5 officers on a community policing unit. So that's all great. Let them do their job, but it should be the standard for that agency. It should be normal for a patrol officer that if they're not running a call, responding to a call, or taking a report, to be out either walking in the neighborhood or walking into the businesses or walking to the strip mall and just walking down the businesses, and people see that and recognize the officer. Oh, yeah, there's Officer so-and-so. He usually works daytime, he works nighttime. But it should be the standard for that agency, and it's not. And this is probably a little controversial when it comes to police. It's just kind of my dig at police departments as a whole. I think one of the things that works against it is agencies have become so overly stat-driven.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I understand you got to have a measurement, but that benchmark is so historically based on your statistical numbers. How many tickets did you write? How many arrests did you make? How many felony arrests did you make? And then officers, and out there, early in my career, I was in that I was concerned about my numbers. I wanted my numbers high because that's how you get to detective. That's how you get promoted to this. But the numbers didn't mean that I was necessarily mean that I'm doing a great job. It means that I'm aggressively looking for stuff. But, maybe instead of making this arrest where I charge this person with 10 different offenses, because I can charge them with theft of this, here's a burglary tool, this is a burglary tool, and stacking all these charges on somebody to boost my stats up. Just charge them with the larceny and the burglary tool, be done, finish it up, and then go back and get back into my beat and get to work. But they become so stat-driven that an officer is discouraged from spending community time, because while they're talking to the manager of the Dollar Tree there that's been having some problems, they're sitting there talking to him for a while. Oh, I mean, I could be out writing 4 or 5 tickets. Now I'm not getting my tickets, and it's counterproductive. So there's a balance to be struck in there somewhere. I think a lot has to do with finding a way to evaluate your people not based on stats alone. Really, anybody can get out there with a radar and turn it on and get the number and write tickets.
Everybody wants to quantify productivity. I don't care what profession you're in.
But for policing, it's
you can't really quantify.
It's not that simple, and I think it's counterproductive to the community policing side of it, is stats. We used to joke on my agency, they've gotten, honestly, maybe they've gotten a little bit better, but they're still very stat heavy. But we used to joke, early on, one of the things you had when you get out the car, you had to wear your hat, part of your uniform. So we come to work, and it was always, what are you doing today? Stats and hats. Stats and hats. That's what we're all about. We're all get your numbers, get your hats, get your tickets, and wear your hat, and then you're golden. And that really wasn't the measure to me of a really solid officer. I mean, the officer's making arrests when an arrest needs to be made, but knows the people in their area, is seen. But that has to be, the whole agency has to be really on board from that. And I do think you have to get away from that heavy emphasis on what are your stats? How many tickets did you write? How many arrests? Nobody asked, well, hey, how many businesses did you talk to today? Mm-hmm. How many people did you talk to today? How much time did you spend over at the store that's been burglarized twice? Did you go over there and talk to them?
You can't, like CompStat, for example, which kind of came, what we're talking about, came on the heels of community policing, but they're diametrically opposed to one another. And you can't arrest your way out of a lot of the community problems. I mean, you can, but I liken it to Wile E. Coyote and the sheepdog. I mean, every day the whistle blows, you hammer each other over the head, the whistle blows, you end your day, and it starts all over again tomorrow. Maybe the better gauge is the number of arrests we're not making because we don't have to. Because things are going like they should. Of course, that's probably idealistic, but you get my meaning.
I mean, there's a time where you do have to decide that, okay, we're going to do some heavy enforcement here. We've got and we got to boost the president, do some heavy. There is a time for that, but it shouldn't be the catch-all. It shouldn't be the default, the catch-all. It's not that is like the hammer. We can fix everything with a hammer. There's a time for it, but should be more infrequent that you're resulting to that. But that always seems kind of the catch-all. What, saturate the area and just start arresting everybody and writing a bunch of tickets, and if you're not writing tickets, you're going to be in trouble, and report how many tickets you got at the end of the night. It's that heavy stat driven, I do think, deters from the community aspect.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Brighton.
Brighton. Good to see you again.
Yeah. My question is in regards to because I know you guys talk about how the therapy part is necessary in the business, for the mental wellness and well-being of the officers. So I was wondering is there ever a time where you guys take long breaks? Those breaks, because I know you guys do more than just just serve on duty, and when you guys are serving off duty, sometimes you help out in the communities and you get to participate in nonprofits or just just be an active presence there. Is there's balance within that too that helps your overall well-being. Is there more stuff to that? Because my knowledge is limited on that, so can you guys touch on that?
So you mean activities that are not necessarily on duty activities, but they're still you're interacting with your community, volunteer type work, or is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, and the effects it has towards your mental well-being.
No, I think that's good. If you can get involved with activities that are still helping or still being a part of your community, but are not, in the uniform or in the position at law enforcement, I think those are beneficial. I think that gives you something else to kind of balance out your work life, where you're still doing something meaningful and helpful, but it's not so much tied to being a police officer. That makes sense. I think that's helpful. Is that what you're getting at? Like volunteering at your school or something like that, or an athletic association or something like that? Is that what?
No, but still in the field too. You're still doing your job, but serving nonprofits and all that to just to find the balance where you're not just doing all of the
enforcement.
Yeah.
There are, some agencies have a police athletic league. Richmond has one, my old agency has one, and basically they go and do sports and athletic functions, and an officer's assigned to that position. That's his job, is he comes in and does different athletic activities with group homes and schools and stuff like that. But that's part of his job. But he's not out there writing tickets, stuff like that. He's doing softball and baseball or soccer, whatever sports activities they're doing. So there are some avenues for that, but there's not a whole lot.
Explorers.
You do have
Citizens
police explorers.
Academies,
yeah,
which are all outreach-based stuff.
So those are signed. I had a friend that worked over in the community policing building, and that was part of one of the things he did was the Citizens Academy. And so he wasn't really out doing enforcement, but he was in uniform and coming in every day, but he was doing more of community outreach, talking to different groups of the community, and then running that Citizens Academy where citizens kind of come in and do a quasi police. It basically exposes them to the department and what we do, and they go through some of the training, see a lot of different equipment we have, and he does that. So that, I think those are good assignments because it does give you that break, especially if you've been in an operational setting where you're enforcement all the time, and then you get a break where you're doing, athletic league, or you're doing the like you said, the Citizens Academy. Even really the regular basic training academy is a good break to get you out of the enforcement aspect, because then you're there training the new officers, and that's definitely a rewarding position. Again, you're not out there enforcing the law per se. What you're doing is you're training up the next group of officers that are going to come through. And a lot of folks that I know that have had that position have enjoyed that time at the academy because it is a good break.
I
out
did
of the
that
street.
before I retired. And as part of that, I had to go to a regional academy. So you had 8 different agencies that dumped into this regional academy for basic training. So, I'd go and I'd work with people from my agency that might happen to be in the academy at that time, or we may not have anybody in the academy at that time, and I'm going up there and I'm working with all these other agencies, all these other young people, all these other instructors, so forth. And I always enjoyed that. That was actually fun.
And I actually, I was a firearms instructor for a long time, and that's a good break. That gets me off the shift, gets me at the range for the day. I'm outside, either it's teaching recruits firearms or it's doing annual qualifications for officers, and that's a good break to get you away from the shift work that you do. So, I mean, I definitely encourage folks to be multidimensional in their career. Don't just sit as a patrolman or just sit as a detective. Do some other things within your department that are not necessarily enforcement related, but it's still policing. I think it's good to have that break. All the instructor positions are great. Whether you're defensive tactics or whether you're firearms or whether you're a driving instructor, those are great breaks from your regular patrol work duties.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You bet. Any other takers? Welcome back.
Yep. My question is, throughout your careers as officers, what kind of stereotypes did you guys run into, it being yourselves or among the people that you worked with on the streets? And how did you combat that?
I am a racist. I am a middle-aged white guy who is absolutely, far right crazy. I don't understand what it's like to live in an urban environment. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard.
I think I've heard them all.
All of those.
I think I've heard them all. The I don't care and the racist one probably bothers me the most.
Yeah, I would say that's because if you didn't care, we wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be working there.
I'd go do something else. I could make a lot more money doing something else.
Doing other things. So I wouldn't be there. But the only thing you can do is let that roll off your back. You're going to hear negativity, no matter how much good you're doing. There's going to be somebody that's going to find negativity in it and try to paint the picture of your negativity. You're this or you're that. You just want to come to this neighborhood and arrest everybody. You just want to, beat people down and you're trying to accomplish a job. So you just really got to kind of take it in stride. And I always say you just got to maintain that professionalism too. And a lot of it's people are going to want to bait you into that argument. They want to call you because they want to bait you into the argument.
They want to prove to themselves that their assumption is accurate.
It's correct. So they want to bait you in that. You have a lot of these cop watch groups that will record police and record with their cameras and their phones. And it amazes me how many police officers fall into that trap. Someone's standing on the side of the road and I get an officer go, it's a safety issue. And I was a police officer. I was on the street. You're stretching it. If it doesn't look threatening, move on. But they're trying to bait that officer, and many times they're successful. If someone wants to record me, record all you want. Record. You're not going to see anything cool unless somebody takes off running from you. You might see something cool, but a lot of the negativity and a lot of the stereotypical stuff that you hear that's shot at you is to bait you into that argument, to bait you into giving a negative response. So you display that, just like Al said, you are everything that they're accusing you of.
Mm-hmm. And if you take the time to, we talk about community policing earlier, and if you take the time to just talk to people when you're on the job and not talk to them in terms of, I'm Officer Al, I'm the neighborhood officer and blah, 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 right? I talk to them like, you're a regular person, I'm a regular person. And maybe we're talking, and I'm not asking you what's going on in the neighborhood. What are you seeing? I'm talking about just some nonsense. Like maybe I notice like I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, right? And you got a really cool Star Wars T-shirt on, and we start talking, and all of us, the next thing you know, we're talking about Star Wars stuff, right?
Right.
And the guy walks away and goes, "Yeah, I just had a 15-minute conversation with the cop who's a major Star Wars nerd."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just talking like you're a regular person. You know, and I think those kind of engagements are important.
Yeah, communication. Sometimes it's taking a minute to explain, because a lot of people don't understand why you do what you do. They don't understand why you're taking somebody out of their car. And that's always one of the big ones.
You enjoy being on a power trip.
Some people don't understand that if you get traffic stop, police officer pulls you over, by law, by Supreme Court decision, they can ask you to step from that vehicle, and they don't actually have to give you a reason. They don't have to be other than they would prefer to conduct the business outside the car. People don't understand that. So sometimes you have to explain it. People get argumentative. You have to explain to them. Or take a minute just to tell you, this is why I'm having you step out. This is the things that make me feel a little bit better about our interaction. And sometimes if you take the time to do that, sometimes you'll get, okay, I get it. I see what you mean. And some people just don't care anyway. But having that, a little bit of conversation, a little bit of explanation. This is why I took you. This is why I put you in handcuffs very quick, because this is what happened, or this is what comes up when I run your license plate, and this is alarming for us, and this is why we're putting you in the handcuffs quickly. And I've had people go, okay, no, that makes sense. I got it, and they get it. And some folks are like, oh no, this is just bullshit anyway. And those you're not going to convince.
Yeah, I mean,
but taking the time to try to, I think, is important.
Is it beneficial, though? Because I've been on a couple calls where, like, a couple people have been pulled over by cops on the side of the road, and they're having a full-on panic attack because it's, like, their first ticket or something like that, and it's just, like, silliness and stuff. But, like, having community policing, is it really beneficial in the long run?
I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah. I think, I mean, does it mean that that you're going to have a victory every time, and you're going to convince somebody or bring them around? No, you're not. And if you try to, you're going to go crazy. You are not. People do not call us to tell us about the wonderful day they're having.
Very true.
They just don't.
I think that's against the law as well, though.
No, you could pick up the phone and call your local constabulary and say,
"Hey guys, I'm having a great day.
I'm having a great day, and I just wanted to share that with you."
You're gonna go, what in the world?
What is this guy 1096?
We need to send somebody.
But you have to just really let some of that go. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'll tell you, some things I'm better at letting go than others. You know, again, I don't like being accused of being a racist. You know, or
especially in downtown Richmond. I know that place is not the best.
That just bothers me.
I worked down there, and it is tough. But a lot does have to do with how you interact, how you talk to people. I think you'll find that the way you talk to people and how you talk to people will make the biggest difference on the outcomes and how things go. That is probably the biggest determinant. Now, there's some people you just can't talk to. It just is. But I've had a lot of people that were really angry, really upset, but how we approached them, how we spoke to them, immediately de-escalated that down, and now we're having a much better interaction.
Your
verbal
mouth
judo.
Yeah, exactly. Your mouth can get you into or out of all manner of situations on this job, and it can also be the measure of your success.
I'll give you a good example. When I first started, one of the rules when you're making a traffic stop, you stop somebody for speed. Okay, so I'm going to stop this car. They're going 50 in a 35. So I'll walk up. Afternoon, I'm Officer Profit, Chesterfield Police Department. Can I see your license registration? Well, why'd you pull me over? I need to see your license registration. Now it becomes a battle. And early on, I was told, you make sure you get that license registration before you tell them why you stopped them. Mm-hmm. And the thought behind it was, it's going to be an argument. So instead of sitting there and arguing all day about, because they're going to go, well, I wasn't speeding, your radar's wrong, or this is wrong, I was another car, you got the wrong guy. Instead of sitting there and spending a lot of time for the argue, just go, hang tight, I'll be right with you. But you've got their information where you can go and just write your ticket, hand them the ticket, and be done, as opposed to arguing right there. And I did that for a long time. And that was really the kind of the standard. And I got in the argument with people, why'd you stop me? Well, I'm not giving you my stuff till you tell me why you stopped me. Well, if you don't give me your license and your registration, then I'm going to remove you from your car and I'm going to handcuff you, detain you. And if you refuse again, then I'm actually going to arrest you and tow your car. And that's where it goes. And then now we're escalated. Now we're taking a ticket to a custodial arrest and towing their car. And I started thinking about, this is ridiculous. Not only that, it's going to take me out of service for a long time to do all that, and the paperwork involved for that. So I started just, I'm just going to tell people this is, and that was my spiel. Afternoon, Officer Prophet, Chester Police Department. The reason I stopped you was my radar had you come through at 50 miles an hour in a 35 zone. Do you have your license registration with you? And they may get some argument, well, I wasn't going that fast. Well, my radar has been checked. It's accurate. That was the speed I had you come through, but I do need your license registration. Well, I don't believe that's what I did. And I told sir or ma'am, we can't really try this case. We can't have trial on the side of the road. I'd like to go ahead and get your license registration so I can do my part of the job and I can get you on your way. And most of the time, they would give it to me. Most of the time, they would give it to me. And then some of the theory started changing where they started recommending that officers explain. Tell somebody why you're pulling them over. Could you get into a back and forth for a few minutes? Maybe. But for the most part, it seemed more positive, the interaction, as opposed to that stronghold of, I'm not telling you until you give me your license registration. And then it's that real big authoritative. And it doesn't work out. So a lot of it's just how you approach, how you talk.
And you can't, this sounds wrong, and I don't mean it that way. But you can't talk to everybody the same.
True.
It's what is that person's background? What is their educational level? There's a litany of factors. What's their demeanor in the moment? You can't talk to everybody the same. And some people, like, well, oh, you can't talk to somebody like that. That you're cursing or something. Well, but there are people, not bad people, just people, that's how you're going to get through to them. Everybody's not the same, so you're going to have to kind of adjust yourself to who you're dealing with. And I think that's a learned skill to a certain extent.
It is, but try not to have that stronghold of, I'm not doing this till you do that. Being flexible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really just made sense after a while. I was like, why are we telling folks not tell them why they pulled somebody over or why they detained them till they get their ID? Just tell them. This is why I stopped you. You're going fast. Is there any reason are you in a hurry or anything like that? Most people be like, oh, I didn't know I was going that fast. Or, oh, yeah, I'm on a hurry to work. Okay, well, all right, let me get your license. I need to see your registration, and then you move on. I liked when we finally got warning tickets, because early on, you'll see that younger officers like to write the tickets, and as you get older, then you're like, I don't want to write tickets. I don't like being the bearer of the bad news anymore. I don't like handing out the tickets. So when we got warning tickets, I'm like, oh, this is great, because then I can give people warnings. I don't have to actually give them a ticket that hurts the driver. I give them a warning, but I'm still credited with, this is my work that I'm doing today. I'm making stops. I'm slowing drivers down. So,
which we went forever and did not have.
I mean, and if there was something that was really egregious, coming through at 80 and a 35, oh, okay, you're probably getting a ticket for that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little much, but for the run of the mill, warning tickets. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, I want to let these guys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ran past 5:30. I know you may have to do a wrap or something, but quick question: do you have applause at the end of any of your current podcasts on file?
We do not.
We do not.
All right, hey, let's give these guys some applause. Mind doing that? cut this loop out and use it over and over again for your future podcasts.
I like it. I like it. I will.
But I know you guys may have to do something to wrap here, but I wanted to let these guys be respectful of their time. So thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming. I hope we answered questions. I hope we answered some of the things that y'all wanted to hear. But appreciate it. Listen to the podcast. We talk about a lot of stuff: law enforcement, wellness, leadership. So take a listen.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, we kind of talked about it at the beginning about singing the praises of Mount St. Mary and their faculty and their students. But again, I don't think we can oversell it. It's just a great group there.
Absolutely. And it was really nice to see young people, because we did one of our presentations and we're like showing the movie posters and stuff from these are kind of the cop movies we thought were really cool, and it was like blank stares. They didn't,
What are those?
what are they? We don't know what you're talking about. And we're like, oh my God, we're old.
But we need to update the movies we reference. And
Is it wrong that I don't know how?
No, because I don't either. So
but they were very positive, and you saw that maybe there is a generation behind us that wants to pick up the baton and go forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It's a good point, because it does. It gives you that thought. They're right. Maybe there is something that's good after us.
Mhm.
That's coming. That's going to be able to come and take this torch and run with it.
Yeah. So if nothing else came out of it, that was great.
Yeah, that gave me some encouragement that there are some good folks that are looking to hopefully, come into a tough profession right now,
Mm-hmm.
and a challenging profession, and a very different one than what was around when we were there.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be a different profession, still generally the same mission, but a little bit different, but still eager to go and do this, eager to serve.
Right. And that was clearly something that they stressed at the school, was that component of service.
I like it.
So big thank you to Mount St. Mary's University in Maryland,
Yes.
to Dr. Jack Trammell and his staff there, the College of Humanities and the Criminal Justice Department. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and I'm so glad I got to meet Jack. What a great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to try to get him on at some point.
Man, that would be great. He really is a good guy, and he's very smart. And again, to me, that was encouraging as well to see. We've all had those teachers and that faculty in your life that were very supportive, encouraging, and that really backed you up on trying to steer you into making your goals happen and achieving your goals. And I see that in him.
Yeah.
I see his students and his faculty, the whole program is very, very important to him.
Yeah.
And that is just huge. So it's just awesome to see. But Al, that's going to wrap up this special edition episode.
Yes, I think it does. It was a good one.
It was. But where can they find us?
They can find us at badgetothebone.com. They can also email us at wearebadgetothebone@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at Badge to the Bone.
Also, make sure to like and follow us. But until then, as always, be safe
And be well.